Hello everyone, my name is Becky. I'm one of the cheetah keepers here at the Cheetah Conservation Fund in Namibia. And unfortunately today, I have some very sad news to share with you. We had to say goodbye to one of our long-term residents, NDunge, or Smartman, as he was known by his keepers here at CCF. Smart was one of our older residents. He was 13 years old. He came to CCF first in 2008 with his brother, Shunga, or Blonde Man, after being found in the Chababis region without a mother at quite a young age. They were brought to CCF and cared for by Dr. Lori Marker and Dr. Bruce Brewer in the nursery, and were very quickly kind of adopted by another male cheetah named Little C, who they absolutely adored and they saw kind of as a mother figure. They formed a very, very tight coalition bond, along with another male named Ron, and the four of them were inseparable. Smart was called so, or his full name is Ndunge, but we call him Smartman, and he earned that nickname because he was very smart. Especially when he first came to CCF, he picked up the routines very, very quickly, especially eating in a bowl to keep his meat nice and clean. Versus his brother, Blonde Man, he did have very blonde tips on the ends of his paws, but we joke that maybe blonde wasn't always the smartest. So we had smart and we had blonde, but we loved them both equally, and they both were great cats to work with. Smart was pretty easygoing, as long as he kind of got his way. Typical cats, they do what they want when they want. And Smart was pretty easy to work with as long as there was food involved. He was a little bit skeptical if we ever had to do some training with him. So we do training with all of our cheetahs so that they're comfortable going into what we call a catch cage, where we're able to do things like draw blood, do fluids, give injections. It is a slightly smaller space, so some cheetahs, it's a little bit nerve-wracking for them. But Smart very quickly learned to pick it up and was very easy to work with when he got into the catch cage, as long as he had his food. The one thing he was a little bit stubborn about was exercise. It was not his favorite thing to do, and especially running on our lure course. He would much prefer to walk around the enclosure and to call for maybe the females that had been in there the previous night. Him and his brother Shunga would walk the entire enclosure and call and call and call as loudly as they possibly could, showing off what big, beautiful male cheetahs they were. Unfortunately, it never worked with the females. They never really showed any interest, but it always made the cheetah keepers laugh. It was so loud that we could actually hear it in our offices. So it always made us put a smile on our face hearing those males call and call for females. Being 13 years old, Smart was one of our elderly cheetahs. Typically in the wild, they're living about 8 to 10 years. In captivity, 13 is considered pretty old. And unfortunately, in the last year or so, he started to show his age a little bit. Especially in April of 2020, we first noticed that he was having some trouble walking. Especially in his back end, and we didn't quite know what the cause was. We did take him to Windhoek to do a full MRI scan on him, but it didn't really show anything conclusive, whether it was a spinal injury or potentially something neurological. So we continued to treat him as much as we could, and he seemed to show a little bit of improvement. He would still be eager and excited for food, would run in as fast as he could, but he just couldn't go quite as quickly as he used to. Smart, unfortunately, also suffered from longer-term gastritis and stomach issues. So cheetahs are prone to stomach issues where they get inflammation in their stomach and their intestines. We don't see it a lot here at CCF because they live a very natural life, but Smartman was one of those cheetahs that did have some problems, and we were able to treat it using some medication, and he was also on mincemeat, which is very easy for him to not only to eat, but also to digest. Unfortunately though, all of these problems kind of became a little bit too much for him. Over the past week or so, he had lost a lot of weight, and we were feeding him as much as he would eat, but he just wasn't gaining the weight back. And so that showed us that something was a little bit wrong with him. And the veterinary team, as well as the husbandry team, tried as many different treatments as we possibly could, but unfortunately it was just a little bit too much for him. And so the decision was made by Dr. Laurie, by the veterinary team, and by the husbandry team that it was time to say goodbye. And so we did euthanize him. So he's no longer in any pain. He's not suffering anymore. He has joined his brother Shunga on the other side of the Rainbow Bridge, and we hope that they're together and loving life. We're keeping a very close eye on their coalition mates, on Little C and Ron, giving them lots of extra attention, lots of extra love, helping them to move on from this loss as well. NDunge will be greatly missed by all of us here at CCF, but also by people around the world. We know he touched many lives and many people's hearts while he was here. He was an amazing ambassador for his species, for the cheetahs living in the wild all around the world, and we hope that to continue that legacy by continuing the work that we do. But on behalf of NDunge, on behalf of all the cheetahs here, on behalf of all the staff, we just wanted to say thank you so much for your support over the years. It means the world to us, to the cheetahs. We wouldn't be able to do the work that we do without you. And so we very much appreciate it. And we will deeply miss NDunge, but it was time to say goodbye.